Part of it, great execution by the Dolphins, most definitely. Another part of it was a great game plan by the Dolphins, most definitely. The other part of it was terrible preparation by the Cleveland Browns defensive staff, bad execution, and just lackluster players at linebacker. The run issues for the Cleveland Browns were, I don't think Jack Conklin is what he used to be. Wyatt Teller went out early in this game. That definitely had an effect, and David Njoku is not in there anymore. I'm not really worried about those problems because I think James Hudson can be an upgrade eventually over what we're getting out of Jack Conklin right now. Wyatt Teller will be back healthy eventually, and then Harrison Bryant's not going to have to start. David Njoku signed for a reason. So those three things kind of solved the problem for the Browns run game. I don't think the Dolphins figured out anything schematically that was working especially well. I think they were just winning when it came to the run game because the Browns just didn't have the personnel to compete with an 8-man box. But I think when they're healthy, they do have the personnel to compete. So I'm not worried about anything offensively that much. It didn't seem like Miami figured out anything. But defensively, I am concerned because it seems like they figured out this Browns defense, and it's easy. So I think it's easy after a game like yesterday, well, not yesterday, Sunday, to come on here with hot takes and say how this game is going to be an example for everything going forward and all this. But just like how the Bengals game in a positive direction wasn't an immediate indicator for everything going forward, I don't think this game is an immediate indicator of everything going forward either. I think there are things you could take from this game that you have to be concerned about, but there are also things that I think people are a bit over exaggerating in their concerns, and we'll get to that. And I think one of the most important things when you're at this point of a year with a team like this is trying to differentiate what are actual logistical problems with the team that other teams are exploiting that need to be solved from a structural standpoint, and what are the problems with the team that are arising simply because they are playing poor, right? And we like to either say it's one or the other, right? Either they're playing badly or it's scheme. But in reality, sometimes it's scheme. Sometimes the other team is just executing better. And sometimes you just stink. Let's try and go through this game, go through this film, and see which one is which for most of the time of this game. So that's basically my goal here. My objective here is to figure out that. Now, let's get to this game film because, you know, there's some good, there's some bad. Well, there's really just bad, but we'll start with some good, basically off principle, right? Because I don't want to be super negative all the time, but I mean, days like today are going to be mostly negative. So the Browns did a pretty good job of attacking cover one early in this game. It's going to be a deep ball to Donovan Peoples-Jones. You're going to see that the Dolphins safety is so deep, he's not even on screen right now, but there are 10 people in that box, and then there's one guy back here. You got single coverage right here. So imagine there's a safety here, I promise you. Yeah, single, and you can pretty much get whatever you want. So single, there's a safety up here. And again, you can get what it is that you want right now because this dude, Amari Cooper, has been winning one-on-one matchups, and so is Donovan Peoples-Jones. So you feel pretty confident about it. I think the Browns should go to these looks more often. I know the popular theory is going to be run Nick Chubb 30 times. I don't think that's going to solve the problem. I think how you solve this problem is that you make them think, hey, you can make Nick Chubb and take Nick Chubb out the game. Cool. But then you're opening yourself up to a bigger problem because I have two wide receivers who can get more production than one Nick Chubb. And then when you bring back David Njoku, 3 wide receivers. So you got to play the number games with teams, right? If they want to spend all these resources, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys in the box to stop, 5 guys on the offensive line and 1 running back, so 6 people. If you want to spend 8 of your resources on 6 people, okay, cool. I'm going to make you have to spend the last 3 of your resources on 3 guys. And I feel like that's more of an even fight. 4 guys if you count the quarterback. So that's what I think the Browns should turn to more. Obviously, when Deshaun gets in there, we'll see what these problems are and what they aren't and how defenses change their approach. But even with Jacoby Brissett, I would do that in the short term. But the Browns did a good job here, attacking out of cover 1, being aggressive. Great double move here by Donovan Peoples-Jones. Gets that separation, gets the ball, great catch. It's an all right throw. It was there. All right, now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this breakdown, which is what the hell happened on defense. All right, so one of the things that I think the Dolphins did, and I've been hearing like a number of things about, the Dolphins went heavy on their line and all. I really think what they did well was misdirect the Cleveland Browns very well. If we're going to look here, and this is Raheem Mostert who's going to get this ball. And look at all the misdirection that goes on here, right? I think this is what the Dolphins did better than most teams that the Browns have played so far is this, right? They were able to misdirect them very well. We're going to see here on this play. Watch 99. I want you to watch 99. What they do here is they pull both their guards, right? So when they pull both their guards, and then Mostert's going to be the one that gets the ball. He gets the ball down here. Taven, Miles, and probably this linebacker, and probably him. Well, he's probably playing on coverage. So they're going to start shifting over this way, right? So you're going to see a bunch of the Browns D linemen shifting over this way, but it's really a trap to get these guys here, and then they're going to seal off here, and then you're going to see a giant hole form. This is a great job of misdirection and a bad job of detecting it by the Browns, as you see everything happen right there, right? They shift the line over. Number 30 on the Dolphins is like an A-tier run blocker. For real. From the running back position, he's a A-tier run blocker. He pops up multiple times in this game. Look what he did to Clowney right there. Boom. Seals him off. And that's how they beat the Browns defensive line about like 80% of the time, I feel like. It's just getting them to run the wrong direction. Right? Ball gets snapped. They pull. Browns read the pull. Miles is playing this based on what he sees correctly. Taven, I mean, like he runs towards the pull one, and then he just kind of gets swim move past him. So he should have detected something when he got let through that fast. But look, the offensive lineman really never had to block the Browns defensive lineman, except for like 58. He has to block Jordan Elliott one-on-one. But it never came down to a block because they just moved them out the way before it even became a thing. And now 72 gets to get on a linebacker. That's going to be an easy win. 71 gets to be on Taki. That's an easy win. All Gesicki has to do is hold. And then boom. Another reason why the Browns couldn't stop the run, missed tackles, right? Get here, outside, got to make that tackle, MJ. Normally you do. You didn't make that tackle there. Taki takes a while to win this battle here, and he doesn't really win it because he ends up getting 3 extra yards, and you gave up about 7 yards in the first down there. Here is one where, again, look at 30. Look at 30 in white. Look at this block that he puts on Isaiah Thomas. Boom. Stonewalls him, right? Now that Isaiah Thomas is stonewalled, this play can work because they're pulling the guard into that gap where the left tackle is going to the second level immediately, and they're relying on that running back to be able to make that block in order to seal that gap. They seal it successfully. Now Hunt is effectively the fullback for Jeff Wilson Jr. Hunt has an easy job because all he has to do is get his hands on a linebacker, and then he's already free. And then Jeff Wilson, all he has to do is follow the lanes. All he has to do is follow the lanes. Boom. He didn't have to do anything special. That could have been any running back in the NFL. Any running back in it. Like when the Browns no disrespect to Jeff Wilson, but this is going to be disrespect by default because it's not praise. Jeff Wilson could have been anybody. Any NFL caliber dude, could have had that game. It didn't take Jeff Wilson to have that game. And if Jeff Wilson could have been hurt, that game would have still happened. This was not about a running back. This was about getting picked apart systematically by the Miami Dolphins. Straight up. You got picked apart. Some of this was effort. Some of this was lack of talent on the Browns' defensive line. But I'm going to be honest with you. They were just getting misdirected the whole game, and the Browns' defense had no answer for that. Coaching-wise, we had no answer for the misdirection all game. What worked in the first quarter, worked in the fourth quarter, misdirection-wise. That's nothing but the truth, Rad. There's nothing but the truth. It didn't take a special running back. It didn't take a special offensive line. It took a decent game plan and some less than great execution, right? Like, obviously, stuff like this where Greg Logan III is absolutely getting just moved wherever he needs to be moved by 71. Obviously, that's not what you want. And then Alex Wright getting, again, killed by number 30, who might be the greatest blocking running back I've ever seen in my life. And then you got Deion Jones missing the tackle. And then finally he gets tackled here by Denzel Ward. Straight up, it's what's happening. It's what's happening. This one right here, why couldn't the Browns run the ball? This is a big question, right? Why couldn't the Browns run the ball? Or run the ball, right? Run the ball, Twitter, run the ball. Right here, Wyatt Teller is in this little one-on-one battle. I think he does a decent job. He doesn't hold up great, his depth, but what happens here is Jack Conklin, watch number 78, who, Jack Conklin, I know everybody focuses on Jed Wills, and Jed was aight. He wasn't horrible, but he wasn't good. But Jack was terrible. Jack was terrible in this game, and nobody's talking about it. 78 here. He realizes, okay, I get the free, right? So they move over, and then Farrell Brown, he's one-on-one with Bradley Chubb. And, you know, for whatever reason, Jack's not helping, okay, because this is a run play. So he's one-on-one with Bradley. It's a run play. So Jack should know my job now, since I'm free, is your lead blocking, right? Chubb has the ball, your lead blocking. Seal the gap. He should be sealing the gap. But to me, it looks like those injuries have taken a toll and he's not as athletic as he used to be. Because look how poorly he gets there. It's just bad. Nick Chubb doesn't help him out either by making that cut. Like, that's a bad cut by Nick Chubb. That deserves to be pointed out, right? Because maybe if Nick Chubb stays where he's supposed to and goes down this lane where he's supposed to, right? Maybe Jack's able to get a hand on him and somewhat make that block. But the reason Nick Chubb makes this cut is because he sees 78's ass in the middle of the gap. So he thinks nothing's there. He thinks he's got to be getting blocked or something. Like, he can't be there. So let me down cut on this. And that lets 52 get to the ball easier. And that makes it almost impossible for Jack Conklin to get here. But the design of the run was through this alley. You can see it because Donovan Peoples-Jones is right here. You got that sealed up. You got this sealed up. All Jack Conklin has to do is the easy part, right? We talked about this with the Dolphins like 2 minutes ago. The easy part is when you can get your offensive lineman to the second level to block a linebacker. Jack is not getting there for whatever reason. Like, did he get tripped up? Let me be fair. Let me see if he got tripped up. I don't think he got tripped up. Nah, clean. He got off clean. Got off clean and just either this is a bad cut by Nick Chubb, and I'm starting to lean more into this is a bad cut by Nick Chubb. I think it's also terrible positioning by Jack Conklin, because even if 52 is running the alley, look at where his feet are. He's not in a powerful position. He probably gets beat. So this is a joint combination. 78 and 24 both did a bad job on this play. 24 shouldn't have cut there. 78 should have got a way better angle to that linebacker than that. And he shouldn't have waited for him. This right here, look, people are going to be on Jed's ass for this. This is a cover sack. And it's Wyatt Teller who actually gives it up. Right? So Wyatt Teller look inside. Well, one, let's talk about this being a cover sack, because we get here. One, let's count the seconds, right? You get 3 seconds to throw the ball in the NFL. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So coverage sack just on the timing alone. 2, let's get to right before the sack. When Jacoby was free. Why was the ball not thrown? Because, ooh, boy, there was nowhere to go, right? You got 1, 2, nah, can't throw that. Right here, you got this dude also occupying this lane, so that's a no-go. Maybe if you could throw the ball over here, sure, but that's a tough-ass throw from that hash, so probably don't do that. So that's out the window. Coop's supposed to be open here, but Coop got held. They didn't call it, so that's a wrap. And then this right here, very tough throw to make when your back's already turned to it. You would have to step up, throw this out here. It's pretty much a coverage sack, and it's not even open. So nothing's open right here. That's why the ball gets held forever. And then when we look at this, I don't really think Wyatt or Jed did a bad job on this rep, because, again, Jacoby had more than 3 seconds to throw the ball. Right? Like, that's a good rep from Jed, and that's a fine rep from Wyatt Teller. It just ends in a sack. But that was a cover sack. Couldn't get open. Right here, though, was a little bit different. Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin ain't been good this year for whatever. Well, they've been good at parts this year, but they have not been their usual selves this year. It's a concern, right? Because you look here, this is Emmanuel Agba and Jaden Phillips. And Teller just gets beat immediately by Agba. Agba gets under, rips him, and then now he's able to get to a spot. Teller does a good job of trying to push him off axis, but he already lost at that point, so that's just a concession move. And then Jack just gets ran around. Again, I'm worried about the athleticism. I'm really worried about the athleticism. It doesn't look like it's there for him anymore. Like, let's split this up, right? You see Jack Conklin, and you see how squatty and low he has to get and how slow he's moving off the ball, and how easy he is to just turn around right there. Compare that to Jed, number 71 on the other side, who, again, Jed's not the best left tackle in the NFL, but he's not a bad one. And you see how, like, quick Jed can just get out there, and it's not a worry for him getting beat on that outside shoulder. Joe does a good job helping him out on that inside rip. But yeah, man, I'm one of the things I walked away from this game really concerned about was Jack Conklin. Now, I don't think he's on the team next year anyways, just for contract reasons, but I think he's close to cooked. I think he's had too many injuries, too many lower extremity injuries, and it's taken too much of a toll on his athleticism. He's not as athletic as he used to be, and he's not the run or pass blocker that he used to be at all. At least from what I've seen so far. It's very concerning. Right here on this play, this is just a great play design by Mike McDaniel. I'll let it play out, and then we'll break it down. So Mike McDaniel ran a fake right, like complete twist turn for Tua. And this is taking advantage of the fact that Tua's left-handed, right? Because Tua's left-handed, the field gets flipped for the defense, so you're already dealing with more confusion. And this is where I want to talk about some of the advantages Miami has naturally in this game, okay? When I say, hey, look, the Browns probably just played a bad game, they're probably not that bad as they looked on Sunday, you're probably going to be like, oh, Q, you're just, here's the reasons I'm saying this. When you look at the film, some things become obvious. One, the heat definitely had a factor for the Cleveland Browns. They were not ready for that heat. They tried to be as ready as possible for that heat, but it clearly played a role. Two, we all know why Miami is one of the best home field advantages in the NFL, and it ain't just the heat or the humidity. It got a lot to do with South Beach. And it seemed like there were quite a few players on this team who enjoyed South Beach the day before. And number three, and again, look, that's not cool in a perfect world. Should players do that? No, absolutely not. But let's be honest here, in every sports league, almost every game played in Miami, it happens. And then number three, Tua is left-handed. So you have a defense that is already struggling with communication stuff and trying to get calls in. And then you factor in the fact that this week, for 1 week only, the field's flipped. The defense is flipped because Tua is left-handed. And then you just have yourself in misdirection hell, which is what Tua and Mike McDaniel put this Browns defense through, right? Was misdirection hell, right? Because they read Tua about to turn, right? He turns as if this ball is going down here at first where his hips are. So he turns as if this is just a regular read option run, but he's running this like an end around. So if you're a linebacker reading this, you're thinking, oh, Tua's about to scoot. He's about to scoot off the edge or something like that. But what they're really doing is backside trapping you, right? So they're just kind of sending guys here, 1, 2, 1, 2, backside, and then they send somebody here to sandwich Myles Garrett into that backside trap while also pulling this guy and this guy into the second level while having two blockers here and wide receivers. So now, before that ball even touches this running back's hand, the outside edge is not just free, it's clear. Great play design. Way to take advantage of your quarterback being left-handed, because you really can't do this with a right-handed quarterback. But since that body language is awkward, you can do stuff like this. Imagine they ran that play with like Jalen Waddle or somebody like that. Somebody real fast. Or Jeff Wilson. It'd be dangerous. But you see the sandwiching. They do a good job of just trapping Myles in there. Mike McDaniel was a good coach, y'all. Or at least he's a good coordinator. He be coming up with some creative stuff. Oh, yeah, this is one where this is another reason the Browns couldn't run the ball. Wyatt Teller went out in this game, and you also don't have David Njoku. You can look at 72 here. He just doesn't get out into a good, powerful position to absorb this blow by this linebacker. So he gets pushed back into the play. And then Donovan Peoples-Jones, he just doesn't see. I think he's supposed to. What Donovan is probably supposed to do, and I'm saying probably because I'm not 100% sure. What I feel like he's probably supposed to do is hold here, hover, and wait until this dude sneaks out to try to be in the play. So he's supposed to hold. And the ideal is, hey, if you're holding there and you don't see anybody, go to the second level. Because then you'll spring a big play. But I think he thought he saw nobody, but he just got caught missing the guy. So he springs to the second level, and then the guy that he misses is the guy who ends up making the tackle. And then Harrison Bryant also gets beat because he's not David Njoku. So there's that as well. This one right here is a miss by Jacoby Brissett. They do a run action fake. You're going to see 84 here pop open. We're going to go 84 here. He pops open about right here. So Look at him. He's going to pop open. Jacoby just never gets off of Harrison Bryant for whatever reason, and he just throws it to him. But right here, he's open. He's open. The window for that throw, so the window for him would probably be right here. That's a reasonable throw to ask Jacoby to make. He just missed it, and I think he knows he missed it. We're going to look at it again from here. It's a run action play. Well, no, this is just a run. All right, so this one was confusing. My bad. This was the 4th and 1 play. And this was confusing because I just don't know what the Browns' plan was from a run blocking standpoint, right? So they motion over him, which kind of makes sense because you at least run that guy away from the play. And my question is, who was supposed to take care of the mic? Was it really Harrison Bryant? Right, so the mic's right here. Mike's going to hold and see which gap he has. So you want to make sure that the mic is taken care of in every run play. And there's nobody who it looks like is supposed to be on Mike, right? Joe Bitonio is pulling in this play, which makes sense. And usually you want him to pull through the gap, but he pulls to the backside leaker, who is him, the edge rusher. And it seems like Harrison is supposed to sprint over and stop that. Like, maybe this is a bad execution play because maybe what was supposed to happen was Joe was supposed to be the lead blocker for this and through that gap, because that makes sense that you would do that on 4th and 1. And then Harrison was supposed to be able to kind of seal, but for whatever reason, Harrison ended up blocking nobody with whatever he did, right? He looked confused on who his responsibility was. So nobody gets blocked. And when Joe sees the backside, this dude about to get a free run, he just decides to audible and block him to hope that we can, because you're just trying to get 1 yard, right? I think that's what happened there. Is like, hey, we're just trying to get 1 yard. Let's make sure he doesn't get to the play before Kareem gets to the line of scrimmage. But yeah, this play just got busted. And I don't think the Dolphins forced the bust there. I think it was probably Harrison Bryant that forced that bust. But that looked like one of the Browns players forced the bust there. Whether it was Joel, because Joel's not supposed to be out here because Joel sees Phillips, and then you can see where his foot is. He's doing a real tight job of just scraping that offensive line, and then all of a sudden he has to pop out here. So Joel was most definitely supposed to pull through the gap and be the lead blocker on this play. But so somebody effed up. I think Harrison Bryant did. This one right here, I mean, goodness gracious. D-line was getting misdirected all game. This is another example of it. They run this kind of sandwich action where they have these two guys in the backfield, and then 30, again, the greatest run blocking running back of all time, gets Myles Garrett on the ground. And then Togiai, just an easy seal, man. Just an easy seal. Jordan Elliott, they got him out the play going upfield. I think both Clowney and Jordan Elliott took themselves out the play by just going upfield far too high. And then is barbecue chicken. It's nothing. Welcome to Walmart. This one right here. Let's look at the play. Oh, is this slow linebacker? Yeah, this looks like slow linebacker. Okay, so 51 here. 51 got to be able to get to this edge, man. He got to. He ends up getting beat to his point, to this spot, by the offensive guard, and that's just too slow. You can't be that slow, right? Like, he just gets beat here. And then that opens up a huge lane. That's just slow linebacker. That's just bad players being in position there. This one right here could have been a big play. I think Nick took way too long to get to a spot. Right? So what the Browns are trying to do is we're going to let you free release because we want Jack Conklin to get to the second level. And we're going to take the bet that Nick Chubb can get downhill before you can touch him. Because you're trying to hit a home run here, basically, right? So we're going to go here. We're pulling two guys into this gap. We're going to seal. We're going to seal. We're going to seal. And we're going to have this lane. It's going to be one-on-one with this free safety on Nick Chubb. And Nick has to. Nick Chubb. This is on Nick Chubb, who had a bad game. I would say Nick Chubb had a bad game. He fumbled, and he made some poor decisions running the ball. Nick Chubb has to know, and he does know, because he's Nick Chubb, that he cannot be late cutting downhill here. Not even slightly. Or else he's going to get caught by the backside. And what he does here is he's just a little late getting to a spot. He should have cut downhill. He should have been downhill already by now. You see where the hole is, right? There's a seal. There's a seal. And by the way, look, Jack Conklin not even close to the second level where he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be this dude blocker. He's not even close to there. Again, the athleticism is not there with him anymore. And Nick Chubb's supposed to be able to get downhill, get one-on-one with him, make a miss, and he might score. But he's late getting that foot down to get downhill. And that kind of blows the play up, right? So he's late getting downhill. And you can tell he's late because where his body is when he makes that cut finally, right? He should not be in the butt of Posick. He should be more in that gap. So he's late on that cut. He mistimed it. He misread it. He gets tackled. What could have been a big play ends up as a 2-yard loss that puts the Dolphins in position to score more points here. And then there's this, man. There's so many things that went wrong on this play. D-line just gets absolutely washed, first off and foremost. D-line just gets washed, cooked, whatever you want to call it, just washed. I mean, it just moves like paper. And the reason they're getting moved like paper is because they're getting misdirected and they don't know what direction to go to. That's really what's happening. It's not like they can't hold ground or they're just weak physically. They can't figure out where to be, right? Togiai takes himself out of position with this step, whatever this was supposed to be. He already takes himself out the play with this, okay? And then Isaiah Thomas, too long right there. He gets way too long there. Easily gets pushed out the way. And then Ronnie Harrison stands no chance because, again, this is a guard who pulls directly to him, and he has no evasion right here. So he just goes and puts his arms up and gets caught up in there and gets moved to the side. And then John Johnson takes a terrible angle here. I don't think he gave up on the play. He just took a bad angle, right? Like the reason, if you look at this from the broadcast angle, it does look like he gave up, and I thought he did give up on this play when I watched it live, but he clearly just took a bad angle, right? He takes this angle, he gets pushed in, he has to slow down now because there's a blocker and another teammate of his here, and he just got taken out the play, took by a bad angle, and he knows it. And that's the game, man. That is the game. Part of it, great execution by the Dolphins, most definitely. Another part of it was a great game plan by the Dolphins, most definitely. The other part of it was terrible preparation by the Cleveland Browns defensive staff, bad execution, and just lackluster players at linebacker. The run issues for the Cleveland Browns were, I don't think Jack Conklin is what he used to be. Wyatt Teller went out early in this game. That definitely had an effect, and David Njoku is not in there anymore. I'm not really worried about those problems because I think James Hudson can be an upgrade eventually over what we're getting out of Jack Conklin right now. Wyatt Teller will be back healthy eventually, and then Harrison Bryant's not going to have to start. David Njoku signed for a reason. So those three things kind of solved the problem for the Browns run game. I don't think the Dolphins figured out anything schematically that was working especially well. I think they were just just winning when it came to the run game because the Browns just didn't have the personnel to compete with a 8-man box. But I think when they're healthy, they do have the personnel to compete. So I'm not worried about anything offensively that much. It didn't seem like Miami figured out anything. But defensively, I am concerned because it seems like they figured out this Browns defense, and it's easy to figure out. Just misdirect them, get them going downhill, push them up. Like you don't even gotta fight with the Browns defense. You just gotta push them out the way, and you gotta get them to get themselves out the way. But that's my thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Y'all have a great day. Have a good night.